Jaza Bongo.
Mtazamaji, karibu katika Jaza Bongo, na leo katika Jaza Bongo tuko na Jackline Kweka Massawe ambaye ni mfanyabiashara anayeongeza thamani madini ya vito hapa Tanzania. Karibu sana Jackline. Jackline siku ya leo atatuelezea safari yake ya ubunifu wa kuongeza thamani madini ya vito alipokuwa nje ya nchi na hapa Tanzania.
My name is Jackline Kweka Massawe, and I am a Tanzanian jewelry designer. I've been a designer professionally, I would say, for the past 12 years. And I think today I'll share a little bit about my journey into jewelry design, or I think what we would call it is value addition in terms of gemstones. So if I go right back, the first time that I started doing jewelry, I would say it was when I was 15. I started a little business at home. I would order these catalogs. I was living in the UK, and there were these catalogs, and they used to sell semi-precious stones, gemstones. So I'd use my pocket money and buy those stones and thread them and create jewelry, and then sell them to my friends on the school bus and also in the playground at school. So I think that's where my desire to make jewelry and have people wear my jewelry began, when I was quite young. After school, I went to university, and I chose a university to study architecture first. So I did a year of architectural design, and then I did 3 years of fine art. I think it's really important to talk about that foundation, because especially when you're thinking about value addition, it's good to know what is behind the product. So what is it about the product that gives it the value? So studying fine art, we would learn about art theory, the history of art. We would learn about other artists and designers and how they came about their final product. So sometimes you see a picture or you see a product at the end, but you don't really see the work that goes behind it. So I really appreciate the fact that I started with a foundation in art, even in terms of design, understanding line and proportion. I make jewelry. I make rings, earrings, necklaces, everything that is made from Tanzanian gemstones. That's what I'm doing since I moved here. So even the simplest of designs, it could look like there's not much that's going on, but having an understanding of line and proportion really helps in knowing how something will sit on somebody and how it will look and how it will feel as well. So that's a bit of my school background. After university, I went to work. I was still living in the UK. So I went to work, and it was outside of the creative or design sector. I did that for 10 years. But I still had that burning desire. I want to design. I want to make things that people will wear. So I took another course. I went to London College of Fashion. And I did a course. I did an evening course. I did that for a year in fashion jewelry. So during that time, we learned how to consider design, but now in terms of jewelry. So before I'd done design in terms of buildings, in terms of art and sculpture, but now it was more related to jewelry. And as well as that, we also learned how to create things out of silver and gold. And that's when I discovered the goldsmiths that you see or the silversmiths that you see. I think here, tunaoita sonara au fundi, it's not that easy, it's not that straightforward. People have been doing this for generations, for years, and that's what makes our jewelry valuable. And I had a go at doing that, and it was great, but I decided that was not my strength or my area, but it was more in terms of knowing how to work with different professionals to come to an end product that will be of value and meaning to somebody. So in 2012, after I'd had my second child, I wanted to take my creativity to the next level. I visited Tanzania, and whilst in Arusha, I was really inspired by the way the women there were working with their small businesses, creating jewels and jewelry of all kinds, and being able to do that as mothers and still create something beautiful for people to wear. I took that with me back to the UK. At this time, I was still living in the UK. So I took that back with me as inspiration, really, that at whatever stage you are in your life as a woman, there is always something you can do with your hands. There's something you can do with your creativity. And I created a whole collection of jewelry. At that time, it was fashion jewelry. So I created a collection of fashion jewelry, and it was called Uhuru Wings. And it was really based around semi-precious stones, crystals, and shanga, Massawe, the beading. And I created this collection, and I launched the collection at London Fashion Week in a catwalk show. I didn't really realize the impact that that would have on what I was doing and on my business. As far as I was concerned, I was doing something I enjoy, and I was doing something I could do at home and I could do with my hands. But once I launched that collection, that's when everything started to change. I think when you do trade shows and you're interacting with other parts of the business, it takes your creativity to another level. So after my fashion show, I started to get a lot of press, international press, including Cosmopolitan and Vogue. I was interviewed on BBC. And also a lot of my jewelry was worn in music videos, like Sony music videos and other famous African artists. So for me, that showed me how something that I'm doing that I feel is so small could become something so huge. A huge part of that for me as well was how am I sharing my culture? Because remember, I was not living here, and I was trying to find that connection because I'm a Tanzanian. How am I going to connect what I'm doing with back home? And that's really what got a lot of people interested in what I was doing. I was making something that was genuinely African Tanzanian, and I was putting it out on an international platform. And it was making other Tanzanians proud. It was making other Africans proud as well. Perhaps a word of encouragement for anybody who's looking to come into this type of business, because I do have a lot of people asking me, how can I do what you're doing? I think the first thing to understand is it's important to research. This business involves so many different players. You know, you can approach it at so many different angles before you come to the point that you have a brand, a jewelry brand, and you're confident that you're adding value to gemstones and to the whole process. So research the different stages or different parts of the business to understand where your strengths are and what you do. I mean, for most of my life, I've been an artist. I've been a creative. I'm a marketer. I'm a salesperson. I did a lot of sales. I'm a relational person, so I know I relate well with people. And I probably do that better than the rings that I was making when I first started, you know. I'm invigorated with understanding somebody's story. I sell a lot of jewelry because I understand a person's story and I understand the story that they want to sell through the jewelry. So the way that I've approached the business, it's playing to my strengths and playing to what I've learned and the skills that I've learned and what I do well. So I would encourage, if you want to do a business like this or have a business like this, the important thing is to understand your strengths and where you fit into the whole chain, so you do it well. Work at it, because we're continuously learning. I never stop learning every day with every new client, with every new supplier. I'm always learning. And take it easy. You know, sometimes we do something and we want immediately for it to be amazing, for it to trend, for everybody to want it. This is a long-term thing. I think, as I said, I've been doing it for over 12 years, over 10, it's almost 12 years now. You know, so it's been a long-term vision, a long-term plan, and a desire or something that I want, a passion, I would say. It's been a passion for a very long time. So when something becomes your passion, you can go through challenges. Things can take time. Sometimes things go well. Sometimes they don't go so well. Sometimes you lose money as well. You lose time. It can be frustrating. But if it's your passion and it's a long-term thing, you'll get there eventually. I think the reason why I've been around for so long is because I've always had something out in terms of jewelry. I haven't stopped. So there's always been something I'm doing in terms of jewelry. So I would encourage you that it's not always perfect, but it's so worth it. When you have the end product, or every time you see a client wearing your jewelry, you meet somebody and you see their hands or their ears and they're wearing your jewelry and they're so happy to wear it, it's the best feeling. And the fact that people are talking about made in Tanzania, mined in Tanzania, and they're like, wow, do we really do stuff like this? You know, I didn't know we did luxury items this well, this quality, and we do. There's nothing that I put out that is not excellent quality. There is nothing that I put out where the stone is not cut perfectly. And all of them have been done right here. So yeah, you just persevere and keep at it, but it's very, very rewarding.
Baada ya kusikiza historia ya Jackline na kuona jinsi ambavyo wanafanya ubunifu katika kuongeza thamani katika vito vya thamani hapa nchini Tanzania, swali letu la leo ni kwamba je, madini ya Green Aventurine yametokana na mchanganyiko wa madini gani? Usikose kutufuatilia Thamani Madini, na hii ni Jaza Bongo. Kwa heri.
Thamani Madini.